Hello folks, this is a video response to Prepper Potpourri. She gave it a shout out to a couple of gardeners out there, myself included, to go over our favorite garden stuff or activities of the garden. For me, one of my favorite things to do is compost. I don't know why, but compost just feels so good. Turning compost just feels good. I keep my compost in these cages. This is a cage that's 4 feet tall by 4 feet diameter. Keeps a lot of compost in there. And what I usually do, I collect leaves from the side of the curb, and I bring them in my pickup to my house and put them in here. Sometimes I'll run them over with the lawnmower, but sometimes I just leave them in there. I don't have any manure in my house. I live in a subdivision with a very strict HOA, so I cannot have any livestock. So all I do is mix the leaves with grass clippings and get them hot. Put a lot of water in them, and they get hot, and they decompose eventually into compost. And then I use that compost around the house. I used to have 2 of these earlier this year. I already went through one. Here's the other one that's empty. And now I just have this left. This is one of my favorite things. Another thing I do often is I began by trying to do vermicomposting, but it didn't work out too well. And well, before I go into that, let me show you another composting system that I have here. And this is a keyhole garden. And right now I'm getting ready to plant it. You can see where my dog jumped into it and dug a hole in there. But I don't have anything planted in it yet. But by come November, this thing will be full of kale and Swiss chard and lettuces. But what I do in this keyhole garden is that I put compost and leaves in here in this center basket. I also throw in here some kitchen scraps, like organic kitchen waste, and let it decompose slowly. And then I just water in the center. I also water on the sides because I don't really have enough. This system is really meant for communities where they really have to use gray water for their plants. You know, I think it began in Africa. I did it as a novelty. I would not really recommend it for anybody doing it if you have running water. But it's just an experiment that I've had. Ironically, this is one of my features in my garden. It has the most clicks on YouTube for some reason. A lot of people are interested in it. But if you have running water, just to raise beds, really. But anyway, I put compost, kitchen scraps, organic kitchen scraps in here. No meats or anything like that, just vegetable scraps. And they decompose, and I'm sure there's some worms at the bottom of this thing eating them up. So that's another thing that I do. And then another thing that I do is I do some another place where I get my kitchen scraps. My wife comes out here and she puts them out here. Excuse the mess, I'm remodeling my whole backyard right now. So she dumps all the kitchen waste in here, coffee grounds, everything. And then about once a week I take them over into this other bin over here. And this is a black soldier fly bin. I began with the intention of doing a vermicompost bin, which I may still do, but it didn't work out that way. And the black soldier fly moved in and they laid their eggs and their larvae. And now I have a lot of black soldier fly larvae eating stuff here. I don't know if I see any right now. So I dumped all of them into another place right now. See, there they are. They look like maggots, but they're not maggots. They're actually black soldier larvae. And the black soldier larva is really a moth. It lives for 3 days only to procreate. It's not a fly. It's called a fly, but it's not a fly. And it doesn't have a mouth to eat. So it just procreates, slices eggs back in the place where it was born, and the cycle continues. And these guys are voracious eaters. So I use them to decompose stuff. And I put some leaves in here, some compost, half ready compost in here to keep the smell down. And basically this is like a second part, or stage 2 of my compost. So I'll put some compost in there, mix it. I had it in another, I had it stacked in another bin. This one has holes at the bottom, and it would go into another bin. So all this is just like worm castings juice. So I just keep it here, and I mix this with water to fertilize the plants. But anyway, what I did a couple weeks ago, I took all the contents of this bin, which was full, and I took them into a raised bed that I'm using as a last stage for my compost. So this little raised bed that had potatoes earlier in the year, I basically emptied it out and got the contents of that here. There you see, there's a lot of good compost in here. I have eggshells, anything that came out of that bin back there, it's in here, and it's going to decompose over winter. So next spring I'll have this space here full of compost, and I think I will be throwing in 1 or 2 pounds of red wigglers in here, because this is about ready to be taken down with red wigglers now. And I'm going to put a lid here to cover it in winter, keep them warm in there. And that's about it, folks. I like composting. A couple of words about other things around the garden. I noticed Prepper Potpourri put out some tools and stuff. I would recommend it. I don't really have any favorite tools. They'll cost me to work, so they're not really favorites of mine. But the shovel, you know, the hoe, whatever, depending on your needs, you know. I have a shovel, I have a hoe that I use a lot, a pitchfork to turn the compost. But one of the things that you cannot, absolutely not underrate its usefulness is keep a hat on your head all the time. Keep some shades. And I also always, I don't have them with me right now, I don't know where they are. I was using them a while ago. Let me see over here. Oh yeah, here they are, because I was working in this little raised bed here a while ago. Gloves. This is just paramount. It is, when you're working with compost and manures and stuff like that, you don't want to get cut and have some of that junk going through your skin. Keep your tetanus shots current also. Look at this here. I picked up a piece of wood the other day, had a wire on it, cut my glove. If I had not had my gloves on, it would have been my hand. And also, I always go out with leather shoes to the garden. I'm never out in the garden in flip-flops or any of that stuff. I've learned the hard way that moving hard objects that land on your feet is not good. So I always go with hard shoes outside. And that's it, folks. Just stay safe out in the garden, I guess. There's no benefit to getting cut out there and getting an infection or breaking a toe when a rock lands on your foot or something like that. Anyway, these are my favorite things: composting and also just building things around the garden. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.